So, 2022 was a year for gaming. It was the most year in gaming that there ever was. My jokes don't get better. But no, really, honestly, 2022 was a bit of a nothing burger for games, at least in terms of the amount of games that came out that were actually good. I mean, we had Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok, which were the two I was mainly excited for. And then there were some indie ones as well, but it was kind of a bit of a disappointing year. There was way more disappointments than wins, I suppose. But 2023 is shaping up to be a pretty good year for gaming. So today's a quick video just to go through what I think are my top 5. Very subjective. This is just my opinion. You can be as excited for other things as you want to be. This is just my list. My top 5 games I'm excited for in 2023, along with some honorable mentions and cautiously optimistic category as well. Although with the way gaming is lately, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about everything, but those are the ones I'm the most cautious about, I suppose. So starting off with number 5, we have got Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now, hot take, I am not really a Star Wars fan. Well, I should say I'm not a fan of the movies, like the mainline movies. They're just not my thing. I can't get into them. But some of the side stories, so some of the side movies and some of the games that have come out are actually ones I really enjoy. So I feel like it's more I like the lore of Star Wars, but I don't necessarily like the mainline movies. And Jedi Fallen Order was actually a really big surprise for me. I really loved that game. I thought it was so good with the exploration, the Metroidvania type things where you would get new abilities that would then allow you to go back to other places and unlock things that you couldn't get to previously. And just the way the combat was, the story was decent. I really liked it. It was a pretty lean and really well done game. So if this one's just maybe a little bigger, it just kind of embellishes or improves on a couple of bits and pieces, and there's no microtransactions for cosmetics, I think this one's going to actually be a really big surprise. So I'm very excited for that one. Going into number 4, we have got Hogwarts Legacy. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I went to the movies with my mum. It was a tradition for every single one that came out at the movies. So it's just got a special spot in my heart. It doesn't matter how old I get, I still love those movies. The main ones, I don't really worry about Fantastic Beasts, but this game looks really, really good in the promise of letting you just go into the world and be your own wizard or witch or whatever you want to be and kind of have fun with it, get to experience it. Like, that looks so good, and the way it looks is so captivating. It's really captured that look, but I am a little worried. Just the studio that's making it, their last game that was noteworthy was Cars 3, like the movie tie-in. Cars 3. Yeah, that's the last game they made. Although, look, I'm optimistic because we have seen studios switch gears and do amazing things. Guerrilla Games, the one that makes Horizons Forbidden West and Horizon Zero Dawn, they used to make the Killzone games, and they then switched into sort of open world RPG, and they've done really, really well with those games. They could be a little generic, but they're really good compared to Killzone, which I felt was always a little middling in terms of like a shooter. So, you know, maybe they've just been stuck in a box making the same sort of movie tie-ins, and now they're actually getting to do what they want. I'm expecting a bit of a buggy Bethesda-ish kind of launch, so I'll see how it goes, but I am excited nonetheless. Speaking of Bethesda, number 3 is Starfield, which honestly, maybe this should be number 4, but it's taking number 3 because of a hope, a dream, if you will, because Bethesda has developed some of the most engaging open worlds in the sense of being lost in the world. I know there are better open world games, don't get me wrong, but in terms of that feeling of, you know, the story isn't the most incredible, but you're not going in and role playing a particular character. You're going in and creating a character that you will be in that world, and you can kind of just get lost in that world for hours at a time. That is an experience I haven't really got with much, even in Skyrim, which is a really watered down RPG compared to what Bethesda used to do. It just had that. If you ignore Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, and I'm getting more concerned as I talk, they do have a really good knack for that, and I'm curious to see what they do in a game that's not an Elder Scrolls or Fallout game. So it's kind of hopium, but I don't know. I'm hoping it's that kind of experience again, because I miss that when I'm not getting the 50th release of the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Coming in at number 2, we have got The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is probably one of my favorite games of all time, just for what it did with open worlds, but not just what it did, how it did it. It executed so well on its vision and how it wanted the world to work that I fell in love with it. And I've played most of the Zelda games, so it is very much a favorite series of mine. So I'm excited to see what this one does, if it can improve on the formula further, what else it may do. I'm maybe not expecting the revolution that was Breath of the Wild. I feel like gaming's kind of gone into a different spot, but maybe it can do it again. I hope so, but I'm very excited for it. Now, number one, and I did preface this by saying that this list is very subjective, is Final Fantasy 16. Now, you might be able to see just over there, I have got a whole Final Fantasy shelf going on, but that's not the only one. Give me a second. You can also see up here more Final Fantasy. And I don't know what to tell you. Final Fantasy is one of the reasons I play games to this day. It's the reason I got into it. And I have so many just treasured memories playing some of the old ones vividly because I was still young, but I can actually remember it. Final Fantasy 7 on the PlayStation 1 to re-releases of ones that came before 7 and ones I played after. 12 sticks out in my mind. I rented that back when you could rent games from the video store. I've essentially played every single Final Fantasy that has come out. And the fact that this has my man Yoshi P as the director has me very excited to see where this goes. I have sunk more hours than I am willing to admit in public into Final Fantasy XIV, and honestly, I just feel like Yoshi P is just the last bastion of creativity and good game making that Square Enix has, because the things they've been doing, yeesh. Anything that man touches seems to come out good. So I'm very, very excited and hopeful and all of those things. Now, if we go on to the honorable mentions. So these are the ones that nearly made it, and maybe some of them, I don't know, the list changes in my mind, but these are the honorable mentions as of the day I'm recording this. We have Hollow Knight Silksong, which for me, I loved Hollow Knight. That was such a great game, and I played it on my Switch. I had such a good time with that, and I'm excited to see what they do next. I'm just hoping it's, yeah, again, some refinements, maybe a little bigger, whatever it might be. I'm excited to see what they do with it. Alan Walker 2 is another one that, as of now, I think it's coming out in 2023. We'll see. There's been delays aplenty over the last 6 months, so we'll see what happens. I'm very curious to see where they take that series, and Alan Walker 1 was a favorite of mine, so we'll see where that goes. Last but not least on this honorable mentions list is the Dead Space remake. Again, you've seen that I've kind of just stopped with Callisto Protocol. I'm probably just going to do a wrap-up. That game was very disappointing, and I'm very upset because I was hoping it would be that return, but it's just not. Being able to play through Dead Space 1 remade has me very excited, but it's not going to go onto like a top 5 list. It's a remake of a game that's already come out, so I just wanted to kind of throw it in there. Now, cautiously optimistic. Again, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about everything, but these are the ones where I'm the most concerned, and I'm hoping that I'm wrong. These are the ones that fall into that category the most. So first up, we have got Forspoken. Look, you've seen the trailers. The dialogue is very, what's up, fellow kids? So I'm very concerned about what it's actually going to be and how well that's going to translate. Final Fantasy 15, unpopular opinion, one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. I don't care. Come at me. Fight me. I will fight anyone. No, I know it's not a great game, but for me, just maybe the time it came out or the wait I had for it, because I was waiting from 2006 when it was announced, that game just has a special spot in my heart. So the fact that it's on the same engine and it has a lot of the same sort of combat stuff, I'm hopeful, but I'm very worried. Next is Diablo 4. I don't think I need to talk too much on why I would be very concerned about that. Blizzard's been doing some real questionable stuff with a lot of their releases lately, and Diablo Immortal, let alone something in the same franchise, what they did with that. And as much as I love the Diablo series, I played 2, 3, and I'll see what 4's like. I'm very concerned about what they might do to it, monetization-wise. That's my key concern, and how that will affect the way the game operates. So we'll just have to wait and see. Last but not least, for the cautiously optimistic, is Assassin's Creed Mirage. Now, I was a massive Assassin's Creed fan. It's the reason I bullied my parents into getting me a PlayStation 3 back in the day. I loved all of them up until they started getting real kind of samey and a bit extra buggy around sort of like Unity, Syndicate, that sort of thing, where it just started getting really, really samey. And then they rebooted it with Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, where it's just basically the Ubisoft formula applied to Assassin's Creed, where they forgot the assassin part of the whole thing. Don't get me started. I could rant about what they did with that all day. But this promises to be a return to form. A game where you actually, now get this, all right, hang on, come closer. You're actually going to be an assassin in an Assassin's Creed game. I know, shocking, but that's the promise. That is even a feature. It kills me. It kills me as a longtime fan of this series, or ex-fan of the series. But it's just, as much as I'm hopeful for the promise, I have no faith in Ubisoft to actually deliver something that's not just monetized to the moon, as well as just the weird fact that we have seen no gameplay for a game that is supposedly coming out this year, but you can pre-order the collector's edition. The old fan in me hopes, but the current brain goes, I have no faith. But we'll see what happens. And that is my top 5 games that I'm excited for in 2023, along with my honorable mentions and my very cautiously optimistic ones. Please comment below and let me know, does your list look similar to mine? What games are you specifically excited for this year? And also let me know if there's any of the ones I've mentioned that you'd like me to cover. Now, the one exception I will say is probably Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which pains me to no end, but Nintendo is really weird with kind of uploading gameplay and streaming their games. It seems to be very 50-50 as to whether they'll be okay with you doing it or not okay with you doing it, so I don't think I'm going to risk it. But any of the other ones are fair game at this point. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help out. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content, and that's it for today. So bye for now.